which is there have been a number of reports recently about these sort of near collisions that are taking place with planes. I mean, God forbid that they ever happen, but they're scary when you read them.
Sure.
About these moments that where there are these super close calls, and it's almost by the grace of God go I kind of thing. It appears if you're reading these things.
Well, let's be clear. It's not the grace of God. It is a multi-layered aviation system that even if one piece fails, another one catches it. The aviation safety record in the United States is
fabulous.
I mean,
and yet these reports seem to be worse today than they were 5 or 10 years ago. You tell me that that's wrong. I don't know. And then the question is, if that is the case, what you need to be doing about that as it relates to training, as it relates to having more FAA employees, et cetera, and technology.
Yes, I'm really glad you mentioned technology. And actually, AI is part of the picture of how you manage the future of the airspace, because some of these things are computationally complex. So any given year, there are a number of what are called runway incursions, and addressing those is the top priority of our new FAA administrator, Mike Whitaker, who just got confirmed. Now, these happen every year, but the only acceptable number ought to be 0. Right. And that's especially true now that we've driven the number of fatal crashes involving airliners to 0 most years, which again is incredible. If you just think about it, 40,000 people a day, 40,000 people a year are killed on our roadways, and we kind of just treat it like it's normal. That's like a 737 every single day. We shouldn't accept that on roadways. We don't accept it with air travel. We got the safest, most complex air system in the world, and we're working to keep it that way, which is even not just a collision, but even something that could have theoretically led to a collision, even if planes are 1,000 feet away. We're going to investigate, and we're going to step up the steps to deal with it. Now,
its operations currently in terms of cars on the road, right? They're still doing some training and the like. And it goes to your issue about 40,000 deaths in America in cars. What do you think is a politically palatable number of deaths by autonomous vehicle in America? The reason I ask is that to me is fundamentally going to become the ultimate question. If I told you could get that number from 40,000 to 5,000,
right,
that would be great in the macro.
Yeah.
But if I told you that all 5,000 were being killed by a computer effectively, would you, as a human and a citizen, accept that?
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer. I'm so curious how you think about that.
This worries me a lot too, because our psychology is such that sometimes something that by the numbers is safer doesn't feel that way because it involves less control. The scenario you're describing, 80% reduction in roadway deaths is it's a safety triumph, and yet I'm not sure that the American public would accept that level. And that's one of the reasons why we're being extremely rigorous as a regulator in the way that NHTSA, our National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, is approaching automation. It's not because we don't like it. It's because we know that both in terms of safety and in terms of the psychology of safety, it has to be squeaky clean. Look, but
you'd read about every death where a person wasn't in control and in graphic detail.
Yep.
And then those manufacturers would be liable.
Right.
So that's a whole other question that the policy world hasn't caught up with. Remember, the division of labor that we have in this country is that we, the federal government, regulate the car, and the state, the BMV, regulates the driver. Our system does not contemplate things like liability if the car is the driver, and that's part of what we need to work on in the policy.
How does insurance catch up with that? There's a million.
Yeah, but the other end of the pot of gold, so to speak, at the end of this journey is that we could have a radically safer country, because frankly, the track record of human drivers is murderous.
All right. Secretary Buttigieg, thank you for joining.